entire planning process will transform, and so will you emotionally. And most people in life, when they're trying to plan something, when they're trying to put something together, like plan their day, we all learned yesterday that what controls our focus controls our life. Whatever we focus on, we feel, even if it's not true. Do you agree with me on this, yes or no? And
so this RPM system, we've looked at it before, and he's got 368,000 views on this. This was done in 2015. So it's a powerful system. We need to get down to the steps of doing it and get rid of the rest of it.
everything's trying to get our focus all the time, right? Advertising's trying to get our focus. Your phone's ringing. In your pocket, it's buzzing. And that buzz is either your phone, or it's an email, or it's a text.
RPM starts with the results planning system. I got to know the results that I'm looking for and then go after that.
The rapid planning method, you can think of it as a results planning system. I need to know the result I'm after before I ever ask myself what to do. That takes more time, but it's worth it. Now, for time's sake, I'm not going to do this with you right now, but I'll tell you what I do when I've taught this to people and I've got a full weekend to do this thing. Just give you a picture. If I asked you right now to write out your name, your full name. Now, some of you abbreviate your signature, but write out your full name in cursive. Go and do that one time. Write your full name in cursive. I can't even use the word cursive. Is that really the word people still use? It means in handwriting, I guess, but in cursive. Just write it out full name, because you can do this later on. Full name. If you normally abbreviate, don't do that. You have to write out the full name. Now, if I had you get with a partner, and you can try this later if you want. I'm just going to tell you because I don't want to take the time because we have such limited time today. And I have your partner say to you with a stopwatch here, okay, ready? And I go, go. And you write it out. And you tell me when you're done. I go, stop. And I write down how long that was. So let's say you wrote out your signature and it took 5 seconds. And then say, ready? Write it out. Ready? Go. You tell me when you're done. Stop. And I write down 5 seconds. I have to do that 10 times. You'll find in the beginning, you'll be, let's say, 6 seconds. I'm making it up. Everybody's signature is different. And you probably might get down to as little as 5 seconds. If you have like an iPhone, you could do it as a digital stopwatch. You could see the milliseconds. Then I say to you, I want you guys to write every other letter in cursive. In other words, you're going to write half as many letters. How long do you think it would take to do it? Half as much time? Most of you will take twice as much time in the beginning, and then eventually, what's interesting is, if I do it 10 times, and the last 2 or 3, and this makes no logical sense, and again, I don't want to take the time to have all of you do this 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, but you can go do it on your own, I'll just tell you the result. In most cases, even though you're doing half as many letters, you cut it by 2/3 of the time. There's something happens when you break an old pattern and you do it fresh. Your brain over the years has learned ways to move more rapidly since when you did your original signature, and you'll do it in 1/3 the amount of time. It'll take twice as much at first, and then it'll cost you 1/3 amount of time. Now let me tell you why I'm telling you this. The system I'm calling the rapid planning method, by the time I show it to you, you're going to go, this takes more time than just making my to-do list. When? When will it take more time? When? Initially. But once you get it in your nervous system, it'll take you less time because your brain will be thinking in outcomes and not activities. And when you think in terms of outcomes and not activities, pretty soon some of the activities in your list you don't even need to do to get the outcome. You find a better way to get the outcome quicker. Now, how do you do that? Yes, 3 questions. Question 1, what is my result? What is my outcome? What is it I really, truly want from this? If you're going back next week, and you say this next week, what are the most important what? Outcomes for me to get this week in my business? And you just write those outcomes out, not your action items, the outcomes. If you do that and nothing else, you'll be ahead of the game. And if you just keep looking at those outcomes every day, how am I doing on that outcome? Your brain will come up with ways to get to that outcome. I promise you. Focus on outcomes, not on activities. Action.
To focus on outcomes, not activities. Get in the habit of focusing on outcomes, not activities. Get stuck in activities, but not on results and outcomes. The purpose or the why.
But the art of it being followed through or not is going to come to you have the emotion to follow through, and that needs to be a part of your thinking also. So the next question I've always asked, besides the outcome, is why? Why is more important than how? Why are we doing this? What's the purpose? Purpose is more powerful than object. Purpose is more powerful than object. You say, I want $1 million. That's a great objective. I want $1 billion. Great objective. I want to feed 3,000 children in my community. That's a beautiful objective. It's even more specific. But even that objective, you might get excited about so you realize what it takes to feed 3,000 kids. Right? And the politics involved and all the people that don't follow through. And then you have this good intention, then somebody else is pissed off because one of the kids didn't get fed. Right? And you didn't even know how to do. What's going to make you keep going? Purpose. Why do you want to feed those 3,000 kids? Why do you want to make that $1 million, that $1 billion? Why are you going to take your business to the next level? Why is the most important thing to know? Because that's where all the emotional juice and fuel is to actually get you to go through when the challenges show up. Every person you see who's on fire and is successful knows the why. And you know what the problem is? You might know the why in the beginning. You wrote a mission statement and stuff like that. You got to know why you're doing this right now. This right now. That's what's going to engage you and activate the why. You might have a why, but it's not active. How many follow the difference what I'm talking about here? Say I. Otherwise, that little law of familiarity shows up. You know, well, we're doing this because da-da-da-da-da, and you repeat the why, but it has no emotion behind it. See, if I take a stick pin, no, I don't feel like that, but you know when a woman has a blouse and they have like a little stick pin in it? Let's think that stick pin is a word. And I take that stick pin and I throw it at you. Are you going to feel it? Barely. But if I take that little stick pin called a word and I wire it to the back of a giant iron bar called emotion, now I can take that stick pin and put that thing right through your heart. That's the power of why. RPM. R is the result, the outcome. What you're after, P is the purpose. It's the why. 80% of success is why. 20% is how. Get a big enough why, people will figure out how to do it. Yes. How many agree with me on this? Say I. So you better
know your why. Let's move on here. Okay, he talks about all the things you have to do, all the tasks you have to do. But what do you really want out of
this week?
Here goes.
What's the most important outcome I could get out of this day, this week, this project, this element? What result do I want? And you go, well, I see this and this relate to that, but you know what I want this. Oh, if I want this, then this and 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 this all fit into that targeted outcome. How many follow? And I might go, you know what else? I also should do this and this to get that outcome. They're not even on the list. But these might get me there faster than all three of these. Oh, by the way, this and this and this and this and this and this and this, all right. Oh, and guess what? This and this and this and this and this, all right. And guess what? There's my day. 1, 2, 3. 3 outcomes, 4 outcomes, 5 outcomes. It's a different world. You will get yourself completely out of reaction. You start to take control. My question to you is this. How important do you think it would be for you to master a skill set like this, for you to have the quality of life you want, quality of business you want? What would 0 to 10, what would be the level of importance you'd give this, my friends? How big? Where would you put it for you? Raise your hand if it's a 10 for you. Let me see your hands. Good. I'm not going to teach you today. But I'm going to teach you enough that you can take yourself to the next level. If you want to go deeper, you will. But I didn't want you to leave without the fundamentals of it, because just the fundamentals will help you to take what we've got here and take it home and go to work at a much more effective level. So, if someone gave you a test and they asked you,
okay, here he's summarizing it.
Not what am I going to? The first question is, what is my? And then as you get more clear than that, outcome starts broad. To make it more specific, you say, what's the specific what? Result that I'm after. What do I really want? What's my outcome? What's the result? So usually I start out with outcome because it's broad, and the result makes you make it even more specific. Okay? Start broad, get more specific. And by the way, writing that down, you might write your outcome and scribble it out and rewrite it a few times so you got something that really grabbed you. That takes more time than just writing a to-do down. But it's time well wasted, if you want to think of it as wasting. And pretty quickly, by the way, you know what you're going to find out? There aren't that many outcomes you're after in life. Lots of activities, not that outcomes, and pretty soon it'll be a shortcut. Just like rewriting your handwriting, you won't just cut the time in half, it'll cut it by 2/3 because you'll know right where to go. That's what starts to happen. You start developing what I call pathways of power, where you know, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this is how I get to that result. And most people have no clue how they get there. The second P stands for, the second question I ask myself is what? What's my purpose? Why am I doing this? And there are different emotions for each of us that drive us most. Some words will completely change your state. When you have that right word, for me it's impact, for example, or love, or contribution, or making a difference, or have fun. A couple things like that change the game for me overnight versus I have to. How many hate having to do things? Say I. You don't ever have to do anything if you get clear about your real purpose. And then the M stands for my massive action plan, also known as my MAP, which is what you would call a to-do list. But it's the to-do list to get this outcome through the state of this purpose. Make sense? RPM. If you do nothing else but learn to ask those questions, use them as an organizational tool, and you leave today with that alone, your life will change. Because you're going to change the sorting device of your own focus. That's the power of it. Now, you might wake up in the morning, if all you do is you don't do RPM, all you do is on. Here's on. Outcomes and necessities. You know your outcome and what's necessary to get it done, that's a shortcut. It's not as emotionally rich, though, by the way, when you leave out the purpose. You get the idea? It takes longer to think through and write out the purpose, but there's a different state you're in, as you just said, ma'am, when you're connected to the why. In fact, it'll change your to-do list. It'll change your map. It'll change what's necessary. That's why it takes a little more time to do initially.
Now we're talking about a very powerful part of scripting things, crafting things, so the emotion tied with words is powerful, and it changes your emotional connections and your activity connections to these words and your results.
You're going to coach your son or daughter or a child or a dear friend in a business, what would you tell them about paperwork?
I would tell them that if it's important...
Can you hear the change in her voice? How many hear the change in her voice?
Is it changed?
Is there a power in her voice right now, yes or no? An authority? Go ahead, tell me what you tell them. You tell them what?
That paperwork is extremely important to the outcome. It's, part of the passion of the purpose, and that's really all you have in life. And I did have that conversation with my daughter.
Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Do you see how important it is, A, to be aware of your language? Language creates meaning, meaning creates emotion, emotion determines what you're going to do or not do. You can never again think about time management in terms of to-dos. You need to start with language. The questions you ask and then the words you use to answer it. That's why you got to craft your outcomes, craft your results, craft the purpose. Takes longer, but you'll do it. Not only that, you'll enjoy it. She says, I'm going to go home and crush that paperwork. That's the word I would use. She can go back and she said, I'm going to be, and what if she created a role for herself? I am the queen of paper prioritization. I am the Madonna I'm the master of whatever. She comes up with some playful thing, and it can be silly and stupid, but it'll change completely how she thinks about it and she feels about it, and she'll go straight doing it. How many follow this? By the way, how was she influenced to remember the truth? By me lecturing her? Telling her? No, everything was asking her. Now, in addition...
So it's the language you use and how you ask those questions and how the emotions are attached to those questions. Okay, we're talking about getting beyond do list and putting some emotion in this. You don't want to go to just a do list. You want to go to...
I'm doing damn good there. I'm at a 9 on my finances. And where are you in your sense of celebration of life? Life is a celebration. You feel a great sense of contribution. He said, no, I'm pretty stressed. I'd have to say, honestly, I'm at about a 3 there or 2 there. Do yours real fast. Just draw a straight line across where you are. Center is 0. Out is 10. 0 is not at all. 10 is exactly where you want to be. Real fast. You got 30 seconds.
K does this 0 to 10, asking those areas of your life.
Professional or business and personal. Make sense? Now, the way we do that is with language also that's compelling. Here's some examples of how some people have chunked their life. These are their categories of constant never-ending improvements. For Suzanne Williamson, it's family, business, friends, community, physical well-being, finance, emotional, and spiritual. This is my old list. It's been updated. It was my physical power. I called it world-class health and fitness. By the way, why did I use that language? I could have just said body. It juices me up. Physical power, because I want the power to get up and rock, to take the room, to make it happen, to shift things for my wife, for myself, for my family, right? Second, emotional juice. Why did I call it that instead of just emotion? Because emotion doesn't, but emotional juice. I want an emotionally juicy life. Outstanding family life, extraordinary friendships, absolute financial freedom, Renaissance man, the Kanai of AJR, the constant never-ending improvement of myself, the creator of the good life for my family, extraordinary communicator, leader, contributor, force for good, and spirit and soul force for God. Those are my spiritual outcomes. Gene Carter has emotional fitness, family, heart, and soul, physical prowess, forever friendships, home sweet home, gracious giver, health wizard, spiritual soul. Here's what I want you to do. Write your categories right now. Just a first run. Do not be perfect. If you had to take your personal life and chunk it into 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, probably 12 most categories that everything your life fits in, that you look at on a regular basis, write them down, but then put the words in front of them, rewrite them so they're compelling. I'm going to give you literally 8 minutes to write as fast as you can. Come up with a category for your personal life. Go.
All right, so I need to do that exercise as well.
What's another area? Yeah, how important is time? And notice we said time and what management? That's what this is. This is the part of the training on results. Results management. What else? Cost management. What else? Innovation and constant improvement of products and services. What else? The legal systems, technical systems. What else? Culture. What else? Now, they could come up with their categories, but you could probably fit 99% of your business in those 8 categories, couldn't you? By the way, you could fit almost everything we've taught you, every action item you have within one of those categories. So instead of this big-ass list you have at the back of your book, maybe it's time to chunk it. So it's not so overwhelming. And by the way, once you chunked it, some of it you could hand to somebody else and go, these are your outcomes. Help me clarify them. Here's why they're important. Go figure out how to do it. And by the way, when people know the outcome who are competent and they know why, do you need to tell them how? No. In fact, they may come up with a better how than you would. How many follow this process? Say I. So here's what I want you to do. Let's do with where you are right now.
All right, I know how to do this well, but there's a process in this, and we need to improve on it.
Every business I own, how am I able to walk in and have 12 companies? I've got companies that are doing $150 million in business with 1,200 employees. I've got businesses that are brand new startup-oriented businesses. I got businesses in the hospitality side, meaning a hotel. I've got businesses in nutraceuticals. I've got practice management companies for doctors. I got this educational business that I'm a part of. They're all radically different businesses, but guess what? When someone's going to talk to me about it, I can take everything they're saying and put it in one of these 12 drawers. So every business has it. So here's Namali. Namali is my resort in Fiji. It's the #1 resort and spa in the country. 525 acres, 3 miles of ocean frontage. And I got everybody from, you name it, Anthony Hopkins, Quincy Jones, you know, you name the celebrity artist, musician, we're the top place in the country to go, right? Built the thing from scratch. How do we make it better and better and better and win all the awards? Because we've got categories of constant, never-ending improvement, and we're focusing on how to improve it always, the X factor in each category. So what do we got? Effective business and financial plans so we can run the company effectively. Securing all of our event revenue, because in the travel business, there's a certain way you have to secure the revenue. Managing and mastering our what? Maximizing and improving our what? Marketing and sales systems. What else do we want to do? What's our language for this? Keep customer promise and create what? And mobilize them. The reason we got all these titles and all these awards is because customers come out of their minds. It's the greatest vacation in their life. When I told Chet about it, Chet's been all over the world, and Chet's, been in some very nice places, and we're good friends, but he was like, yeah, Tony, yeah. And then he emails me and calls me, this is the most incredible experience, and he's crying at the end. I've never cried leaving the hotel before, like I didn't want to leave. Because it's an emotional bond, it's an experience, it's not just the beauty of the place, it's the people. So there's a very different experience for people here, right? What else? We got to keep re-engineering, strengthening, improving all our what? Technical communication, customer databases. We have to have world-class organization of what kind of employees?
So all these specifics is he pushing to the nth degree and making this resort just wonderful. Let's go on. So much here. He just packs it in like you cannot believe. So here, let's look at some of these things you need to. She's talking about an incredible wedding, but let's get through some specifics.
Lunch for everybody. I got to order the direction signs. I got to order the meat trays and pick up at Sam's. I got to pick up the donuts on Friday and Saturday. Oh my God, I got the plates and the silverware and the cake tables. I also got to get. Oh, I got to get the caterer for Saturday and Sunday. Oh my God, I got to call and get an MC for Gary's party on Friday night. Oh yeah, and I got to order the mic and the podium for the party in the hotel. How many are starting to feel stressed already for her? By the way, it kept on going and going and going. And so by the time you're done with your capture list, it'll be like taking this 5 days and turning to the back of your book and reading that long list. You go, no, I hate Tony Robbins. I hate Chet. I hate them all. So much here. I'm going home to all this other work. Unless you chunk it, right? Unless you're clear. So what we do is begin to chunk it. And when you have a project, it's not just this week, something that's long-lasting. You got to come up with an ultimate what? What's your ultimate what? Come on, guys, your ultimate what? That's right. What's the ultimate outcome? What's the ultimate result? And so we came up with it with her. We said, what are you really after? Stop telling me all things you got to do for your wedding. Tell me what you want. We get so caught up in the doing, we forget what we want. Same thing with your business. So caught up in the doing your business, forget what you got in business for. So she says, well, we finally I want to create the wedding of a lifetime. That's an incredible experience for Gary and for me and totally fun for all of our guests. That's different than I got to put on a wedding and a party perfectly. What do I want to do? Create a wedding of the lifetime that's an incredible experience for Gary and me and fun for our guests. Why? Second question, why? She says, it'll be a remarkable beginning for an awesome marriage. I want to express my love to Gary in ways he'll never forget in both the wedding and in the party. I want my family and friends to have so much fun. Now she remembers why she's picking up those signs or getting someone else to. Now we say, let's not write all the to-dos. This is a big project. Tell me just the key results. The big results that have to happen for you to have the most incredible wedding possible. She said, well, I've got to handle enough events in advance that I'm assured the weekend will be a success, and that'll make me relax during the wedding. And even coming up to it. If I can handle enough of the most important events in advance. What else? I got to have a pleasurable Friday and Saturday evening enjoying my guests while the details are being taken care of by other people. She got that. Now that she knew her outcome, she knew how to get there. What else? I need to set up a fun day of shopping with Kim and Kay, her best friends, so we can spend time with them while we're shopping for the wedding things. So instead of feeling I'm stressed and not spending time with my girlfriends during the wedding because that's so much, let's have them take shopping with me. Let's do it together. And what else? I need to create a fabulous surprise 50th birthday party for Gary on Friday night during the rehearsal. Each one of these will become an RPM block of its own. How many follow that? By the way, once you do a few people's experiences like this, you'll start to see there's a pathway, a pattern that's the same for most weddings. Effective weddings, happy weddings. You'll start to know maybe the words change, maybe somebody has a 50th birthday, but you'll start to see the same pattern. And what took a long time to do the first time, you can do in seconds now. It's the signature. So let's take a look. One of those outcomes was create a fabulous surprise birthday party for Gary on Friday night. Why? Purpose, she's creating an RPM block. Why am I doing it? To honor and delight Gary, to have fun, to create a magic moment, to share my love with him at the deepest level. Okay, what's it going to take for me to create a fabulous surprise birthday party for Gary on Friday night? Well, I got to pick up the signs. I got to order the cake. I got to pick up the cake. I got to get an MC. I got to get an accurate count of the guests. I got to confirm the count to the hotel. I got to get a microphone. I got to get good stuff hanging on the signs. She'll then go to the next part of the project. But this RPM block is done. Guess what's cool? She can go back through that list and go, who can I leverage this to? Or how many of these things can be done simultaneously? And guess what she ended up doing? She got 3 friends. One did all the signs. One did the food. One did all the things related because she was more technically driven on stuff. And the 3 of them had a blast together getting it done. They put on the party perfectly. That sets up Friday night perfectly. By the way, how much does she breathe? And how much time does it take? All this sounds like a lot, but she estimated how much time will it take beside each one? And she goes, that's actually only 10 minutes. It looks like so much, but when you add up the total time, it's 3 hours. And I got 3 weeks. How many follow what happens here? In our head, we make it so much what? Bigger. And by the way, time will fill, activity will fill whatever time you give it. So when she locked it down, it's like, okay, that's handled. What's the next block? And all of a sudden, guess what her wedding became? 6 RPM blocks. 6 outcomes. 3 friends helping her. Everything went perfect. She was out of her mind. And most importantly, she felt totally in control of her life the whole time. That's a project. Now, you might leave here and do a project called your RPM.
All right, so he just gave us a perfect example using RPM on this wedding example. Go back, look at this, chunk it out, plan it, get the whys, get the help and support, and do it. Again, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Good day.